She was, for a glorious and chaotic stretch, America's movie sweetheart. Not the untouchable, ethereal kind, but the one you could imagine crashing a frat party, laughing too loud at a dirty joke, or tripping spectacularly on her way to accept an Oscar. Jennifer Lawrence wasn't just a star, she was a phenomenon. She exploded from the indie darling of Winter's Bone to the face of the billion-dollar Hunger Games franchise, becoming the highest-paid actress in the world not through aloof mystique, but through a carefully curated and seemingly authentic relatability. She was J-Law, the girl who hated diets, adored fast food, and spoke in a refreshing, unfiltered stream of consciousness that felt like a direct repudiation of the polished, anodyne celebrities of the past. We, the public, adored her for it. She was an easy person to root for, the anti-diva who made the rarefied air of Hollywood seem breathable. However, in the peak of her fame, a subtle shift began. The very candor that made her a star started to morph, revealing cracks in the carefully constructed facade of the entire industry. And although this is not an attempt to paint Jennifer Lawrence as a blameless martyr, there is a compelling perspective to consider. One that might make her subsequent retreat from the spotlight not a career stumble, but a silent indictment of a system that loves a rebel only until she starts rebelling against the system itself. Jennifer Lawrence is feared in Hollywood not for her failures, but for her clarity. She is the star who spoke too much, saw too much, and ultimately walked away from the very game she was winning. The architecture of the J-Law persona was a masterclass in modern celebrity branding. In an era of meticulously managed social media and press tours, her authenticity felt like a revolution. She was the actress who photobombed with abandon, the one who discussed falling drunk in a gutter on her way home, the one who openly groused about the absurdity of red carpet pageantry. Her infamous trip at the 2013 Oscars didn't become a scandal. It became her signature, a moment of human fallibility that only cemented her status. This was not an accident. It was a persona that the Hollywood machine, in its infinite hunger for marketable new angles, embraced and amplified. Studios, publicists, and media outlets realized that her just-like-us quality was a potent, billion-dollar asset. It made Katniss Everdeen more accessible. It made her characters in David O. Russell's films more grounded. And it made her a PR dream. For a time, it was a perfect symbiosis. The industry gave her a platform, and she gave the industry a new, profitable kind of star, one who appeared to be in on the joke. But the first signs of friction emerged when her unfiltered nature began to touch on things the industry would rather keep quiet. The catalyst was the 2014 Sony Pictures hack, a catastrophic data breach that laid bare the inner workings of Hollywood. Among the thousands of emails was a revelation that Jennifer Lawrence, along with her American Hustle co-stars Amy Adams and others, had been paid significantly less than their male counterparts. This was an open secret in Hollywood, a systemic issue everyone knew, but no one with real power openly discussed. The hack forced it into the light, and Lawrence, true to her brand, did not issue a carefully lawyered statement. She wrote a blistering, raw essay for Lena Dunham's Lenny letter, titled, "Why Do I Make Less Than My Male Co-Stars?" In it, she didn't just blame the studio executives. She turned her gaze inward, questioning her own complicity. She admitted that her desire to be liked, and her fear of being seen as difficult, had prevented her from fighting harder for equal pay. "I failed as a negotiator because I gave up early," she wrote. "I didn't want to keep fighting over millions of dollars that, frankly, due to two franchises, I don't need." On the surface, this was hailed as a brave feminist stance, and it was. But beneath the applause, a more dangerous line had been crossed. Lawrence had taken internal, private industry business, the brutal, often unfair mechanics of deal-making, and made it public. She confirmed what the whispers had always said. For an industry that operates on confidentiality and the unspoken rule of, "You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours," this was a transgression. It made executives and agents nervous. A star, who could not be trusted to keep the dirty laundry private, no matter how righteous her cause, was a star who introduced an element of risk. She was no longer just playing the game. She was commenting on its unfair rules in real time for a global audience. This incident was followed by a period of what can only be described as overexposure. The very quality that made her beloved, her apparent authenticity, began to curdle in the public eye. A series of interviews and comments started to be perceived not as charmingly blunt, but as tone-deaf. There was the story about a harrowing, albeit comedic, encounter with the cold, hard sand of a Hawaiian beach, which she described as a near-death experience. There were comments about not wanting to vote for the president during the 2016 election cycle, which were pounced upon as privileged apathy. The media, which had built her up, began to tear her down with the same fervor. The cool girl persona was now being framed as an entitled cool girl act. The backlash was swift and brutal. The machine that had created J-Law was now turning on its creation, revealing a fundamental truth. Hollywood's love for a real person is conditional. They must be real in the right ways. Clumsy, funny, self-deprecating, but not real in the ways that challenge power structures or reveal uncomfortable truths about privilege. The breaking point, however, came not from a public misstep, but from a private decision. After the immense, suffocating pressure of back-to-back blockbusters and the whiplash of public adoration and scorn, Lawrence did the one thing a star of her magnitude is never supposed to do. She stepped away. Following the release of the sci-fi film Passengers in 2016 and The Mother, Darren Aronofsky's polarizing 2017 art house nightmare, she simply vanished. She took a year-long hiatus from acting. For an industry that runs on the constant churn of content and celebrity, this was an almost unthinkable act of defiance. The system is designed to make stars feel indispensable, to keep them on the hamster wheel of fame, press, and profit. To willingly step off that wheel is to demonstrate that it is, in fact, optional. It sends a dangerous message to other actors, that there is life, and perhaps a more sane and fulfilling one, outside the Hollywood bubble. Her return was marked by a noticeable shift. The interviews were more guarded, the persona less effusively on. She spoke openly about the psychological toll of her fame, describing a sense of being owned by the public and the press. She revealed the profound anxiety she felt during the promotion of Mother, a film that was metaphorically eviscerated by audiences, and how the personal and professional criticism left her feeling like a fraud. In a 2021 interview, she articulated the core of the industry's silent contract. It's so stressful to think that you have to be this political, perfectly well-spoken. I was just so afraid of everything. She had realized that the price of her fame was perpetual self-censorship, a constant performance of a version of herself that was palatable and non-threatening. By speaking about this fear, she was once again speaking too much. She was exposing the immense, hidden emotional labor that underpins the glamour, the mental health crisis that the industry routinely ignores in pursuit of the next hit. This is why Hollywood fears Jennifer Lawrence. It is not because her career is over, far from it. It is because she represents a new kind of star, one who has seen the top of the mountain, found the view lacking, and decided to climb down. She is a living, breathing refutation of the idea that fame and success are the ultimate prizes. Her story demonstrates that the authenticity the industry sells is a commodity, one that can be weaponized against the very person it is meant to represent. By speaking out about pay disparity, she challenged the financial structure. By taking a hiatus, she challenged the grind. By discussing her anxiety and the pressure to be perfect, she challenged the very psychology of stardom. In the end, Jennifer Lawrence holds up a mirror to Hollywood, and the reflection is not flattering. It shows a system that consumes the very humanity it purports to celebrate. Her journey from beloved every girl to cautious, outspoken survivor of fame exposes the brutal paradox at the heart of modern celebrity. We demand authenticity from our stars, but we punish them the moment that authenticity becomes complex, challenging, or inconvenient. Jennifer Lawrence spoke too much, and in doing so, she gave voice to the silent fears of every actor who feels trapped by their own success. She proved that the most powerful statement a star can make is not another blockbuster role, but the conscious decision to reclaim their own narrative, their own time, and their own silence. All we know for sure is that no amount of money or acclaim is worth the loss of self, and Jennifer Lawrence, the star who once had it all, was brave enough to admit it and walk away.